There are major changes taking place in the English Premier League. The Premier League trophy has been lifted by only 7 different teams in the last 32 years, 5 of them usual suspects. However, the middle of the table has seen major developments in recent years. We've seen several clubs transform their teams into top 5 contenders, and one reached the top 4 just last year. Our video today explores 5 underestimated teams, dives deep into their numbers, and makes a bold prediction for this year's Premier League. Most people have been surprised to see Brighton start the season 2-0, but this start has been brewing for several years for the club. Its roster is perhaps the best example of Brighton's succession planning. The club's owner, a mathematician, developed a bespoke model to accurately predict what they will need long before it's needed. And the story of Kaoru Mitoma, a Japanese wing signed in the summer of 2021, truly shows this. In his early 20s, he decided to complete his university studies before committing to a professional career. Brighton, however, saw enough potential in him after he excelled in his belated debut season in Japan. Visa requirements meant Mitoma's first season was spent on loan at a team in Belgium, also owned by Bloom, but he was in Brighton for the start of the season. So when Brighton granted Leandro Trossard's wish to leave the club in January, Brighton banked an 8-figure profit when he moved to Arsenal. Mitoma was perfectly positioned to slide right into his vacated spot in the lineup. He's quickly grown into not only one of Brighton's most dangerous players, but also one of the Premier League's breakout stars. As part of its business model, Brighton sells players at the right time for the right price and continually reinvests the money it receives into the squad. They have one of the Premier League's youngest squads, a multinational cast recruited both for their potential as Brighton players and for their future potential elsewhere. As a result of these incredible decisions, they set a Premier League profit record last year of $122 million. Brighton are looking to break into the top 5 this season for the first time in history, and we believe they have all the pieces to complete this goal. Very few teams are able to beat the Big Six, let alone give them a run for their money, but Aston Villa last season did just that. In December last year, Villa faced Manchester City and Arsenal at home within 4 days, winning both matches 1-0 and closing in on the top spot. The club secured Champions League football for the first time in its history and reached a European semi-final. Despite Villa's failure to win the competition, fans should be proud of what Unai Emery's squad achieved. There's been a lot of movement both in and out of Villa Park this summer, from stars leaving to the next generation of talent coming through. On the whole, Villa have spent around 150 million euros, which is around 55 million more than they did last summer. The main loss, however, was the sale of Douglas Luiz, who got 10 goals and 10 assists last term. On a more positive note, Unai Emery's side welcomed the signings of central midfielder Amadou Onana from Everton for a fee of 50 million euros and left-back Ian Maatsen from Chelsea for a fee of 37 million. No Premier League team caught the opposition offside more than Unai Emery's Aston Villa. The high line is crucial for the Spaniards' philosophy, limiting as much space as possible between the back line and midfield, thus allowing Villa to regain the ball high up the pitch and initiate attacks within the opposition's half. Aston Villa is one of the biggest threats to the Big Six and should be taken seriously within the Premiership every single week. So our bold prediction for this season is that Aston Villa will place 4th and play in the Champions League once again next year. Which mid-tier team will break into the top 5 this season? Comment down below and subscribe for more football content. West Ham has undergone a bigger overhaul in terms of personnel, playing style, and ambition than any other Premier League team. In 3 of their last 4 seasons, they've reached the top 10 and have been extremely active this summer. Niklas Füllkrug from Dortmund was their highest profile signing. The German striker scored double-digit goals in the Bundesliga the past 2 seasons and has 13 goals in 21 appearances for the national team. Kudus, however, is the undisputed maestro of this team and is capable of match-winning moments. A graduate of the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana, which has also produced Brighton's Simon Adingra, Kudus should flourish even more under a more attack-minded manager. Jared Bowen has been named as the new captain of the side and will look to build on a career-best campaign that delivered 16 league goals in 2023-24. In Bowen, Mohamed Kudus, and Füllkrug, the Hammers have a forward line that should bring the fun factor back to London Stadium. West Ham head into the new season bubbling with excitement, with Julian Lopetegui having replaced David Moyes in the dugout. While Moyes provided West Ham with their most stable Premier League era and a European trophy, his cautious approach was unpopular with the fans. Having had more than a taste of continental competition in recent seasons, West Ham's ambitions will be to return to that stage. Fixing their defensive fragility and implementing a new style on a team well-versed in Moyes' method will be key to starting the Lopetegui regime positively. West Ham, who haven't reached the top 5 since 1998, will have a full campaign in front of them if they want to qualify for Champions League football next year. The key turning point in Newcastle's modern history occurred in October 2021 with the arrival of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. Howe subsequently arrived as manager, and the club quickly embarked on an upward trajectory. They have teased a cup run or two and came ever so close to ending their silverware drought in 2023 when they reached the EFL Cup final, but Howe's side were beaten 2-0 by Manchester United at Wembley. Newcastle have crucially retained the services of stylish but equally devastating forward Alexander Isak. The Swedish international scored 25 goals in all competitions last season and was comfortably the club's leading scorer. Anthony Gordon was the next prolific with 12 strikes. Domestic football is the sole focus for Newcastle in 2024-25, but their strong competition towards the top of the Premier League table means there's no guarantee that the Magpies will improve upon their 7th place finish from last season. While a less demanding schedule reduces the need for a deep squad and should result in fewer injuries, there are questions over whether this Newcastle squad is talented enough to finish in the top 6 this season. Their defensive issues may be mitigated by the time the summer window draws to a close, but there hasn't been any major turnover in terms of personnel thus far. Crystal Palace will embark on their first complete Premier League season under Oliver Glasner, who steered the Eagles to safety last term. The former Europa League winning manager succeeded Roy Hodgson at Palace, inheriting a team languishing 3 places and 5 points above the relegation zone with 13 matches remaining. He subsequently won 7 matches, including 6 of the Eagles' last 7 Premier League fixtures, which secured a 10th place finish, their highest placement since the 2014-15 season. Arguably the biggest news coming out of Selhurst Park was the departure of 22-year-old forward Michael Olise, who has returned to Bayern Munich after reported interest from Chelsea and Manchester United. So far, 2 new faces have joined, with defender Chadi Riyad and midfielder Daichi Kamada joining from Real Betis and Lazio respectively. To say Jean-Philippe Mateta finished last season on a strong note would be an understatement. What's more impressive is that his 16 goals last season were the 2nd most by a Palace footballer in a single campaign. Crystal Palace will look to break the top 10 for the first time in their history and would definitely be a step in the right direction for the club. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more football content and leave a comment down below.